Hey YouTube, Bob here. Welcome to World of Nintendo. I've got a lot more content like this on the way, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know what you think. Here we go. In this edition of Nintendo Unboxed, we're going to be taking a look at the highly anticipated yet very different sequel to the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. This was released in the United States in 1988, and it has a very strange naming convention. Zelda II, not The Legend of Zelda Part 2 or anything like that, but it seemed Nintendo of America was aware that a lot of us back in the day were just referring to the original Legend of Zelda as Zelda. Did you get Zelda? Yeah, I got Zelda. We gonna play Zelda? Yeah, let's play Zelda. So it was already a very familiar term by this point, even though it was only about a year after the release of that original game that we got this sequel. And I mentioned it was very different because, yeah, it combines some side-scrolling action, kind of like in the style of Super Mario Brothers, with some JRPG exploration and battles in the form of something maybe like Final Fantasy or Dragon Warrior. Definitely not the depth of those RPG games, but some similar elements we see mashed up here in The Adventure of Link. And Nintendo saying another journey of ultimate challenge in the fantasy world of Hyrule. And full disclosure, yeah, this isn't my favorite Legend of Zelda game. I've already said several times that A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System is far and away my favorite Legend of Zelda game. I like the 2D games better than the 3D games, although I do like several of the 3D games as well. But let's take a look at this original release of The Adventure of Link. Much like its predecessor, we have this little die-cut window here where that shimmering gold cartridge is shining through, enticing 8-year-old buyers like myself. But this is one that I never bought on my own. I picked this one up much later in my collecting because I think I rented it or some friends had it, and it just didn't appeal to me the way that the first one did. So this one I didn't play for a while. But on the first long side here, we've got the same branding. Notice that Link is now the prominent word instead of Zelda, and it's displayed in blue instead of red. The original game would see The Legend of Zelda as its branding. On the second long side, same thing, except the Nintendo logo is replaced with some warranty information. On the top, we've got the same branding for the game, and on the bottom, that tricky to refold bottom portion that they've always had on their cartridge boxes for the Nintendo Entertainment System. On the back, we've got a similar aesthetic that we've seen in lots of Nintendo Entertainment System game boxes. Two large screenshots in the shape of those CRT screens. And it says, The Adventure of Link, the Hyrule Fantasy continues. The land of Hyrule is in chaos. As Link, you'll be sent on a treacherous journey to return 6 precious crystals to their origins in 6 stone statues. Only by defeating the guardians of the 6 palaces will you gain passage to the 7th palace, take on the ultimate challenge that awaits you, and wake the Princess Zelda from her sleeping spell. On your way, helpful villagers you encounter will offer clues and a secret messages invaluable in your quest. As you guide Link through the levels of Hyrule, close-ups and overviews will enhance your video vision. Interesting term there. Are you up to the challenge? In the tradition of The Legend of Zelda, The Adventure of Link is one of the most challenging video games we've ever created. I would vouch for that. This is a difficult game. To help you keep up with the action, Nintendo's exclusive extended playing power means Link is programmed to remember everything you find on your journey, so you never have to start your search empty-handed. So it looks like Nintendo is calling their battery-backed save as extended playing power here. That's a technical term, but Nintendo's trying to, I guess, put it in kids speak, maybe, that we've got a battery backup here, much like the original Legend of Zelda game. They're also mentioning the NPCs, or non-player characters in towns that give you lots of advice and information and heal you and all those kinds of things. So that's kind of an upgrade or a new feature that we would see from the original Legend of Zelda game. So copyright 1988, Nintendo of America. Let's take a look and see what we have inside the box. Got that gold cartridge staring at us, as well as the documentation. So let's see if we can get it out of the box here. There we go. There is the cartridge and documentation. We've got our ROB themed poster. This should be the Now You're Playing with Power variant that has some of the more recent games on it, including this game. And we see those right at the top here. We've got Metroid, Legend of Zelda, Kid Icarus, and The Adventure of Link. Kind of a combination of battery backup and password saves there for these longer Nintendo adventures. So there's our robotic operating buddy themed poster. Probably one of the last games we would see this in before Nintendo changed to a newer design of the Nintendo logo kind of smashing through a wall or some glass. So before using your NES, you got a warning here about epileptic seizures potentially by viewing the video game graphics. Our Nintendo Power subscription card here. This is featuring the very first issue, the introductory issue. Introducing Nintendo Power, the new players magazine with enough tips, tricks, and insider secrets to send your scores into the stratosphere. So yeah, this would debut in the same year, 1988. So we've got our registration card here, or you could call the 1-800 number to sign up for Nintendo Power magazine. And then we have the instruction manual. We'll take a look at this after we see the cartridge. Very similar to the original Legend of Zelda cartridge in that it is plated in gold, gold paint that is, but a very nice aesthetic nonetheless. It let you know without a doubt that this cartridge was something special, as was the game inside. So like it says on the box, another journey of ultimate challenge in the fantasy world of Hyrule. And then we've got information on the back here regarding the battery save. So let's take a look and see what the instruction booklet has to tell us. All gold, similar branding that we saw on the box, and nothing too much of interest on the back. So we've got, just like the first Legend of Zelda game, a huge exposition of the backstory, the story of the adventure of Link. And they go through quite a bit of detail here in the manual. The first several pages are the story. So what I'm going to do is just hold the manual up to the screen here. We'll go page by page, and if you are indeed interested in reading these pages, you can pause at the appropriate time. But it is quite lengthy. Lots of nice illustrations to go with, as was typical with these games. But as you can see, pages and pages of exposition here, nicely illustrated in full color. Except for this page, of course, all text. Very neat illustrations. I do remember seeing this manual as a kid and reading all about it, as well as in the Nintendo Fun Club News prior to Nintendo Power. This game was featured. So the vast Hyrule is the stage for the adventure. There are 6 palaces hidden in Hyrule. Link must gain experience by fighting Ganon's underlings and get information while visiting towns here and there. And after defeating the Guardians at the palaces of Death Valley, he must obtain the Triforce of Courage. That is Link's mission. And then we have a very neat looking map here of Hyrule. It looks quite a bit different than the Hyrule we were introduced to in the first game. And they really are pointing out here, even in this little block of text, the new mechanic of NPCs. Didn't really come across towns of people in the first game, just the random single NPC hiding in a cave or in a bush somewhere in the first game. But here we have towns where you can talk to lots of people and get clues. So there's your character creation and save screen. Lots of information about certain circumstances of when you'll end your game and how to save. That instruction of keep the reset switch pressed while turning the power off. If you just boink, turn the power off, I believe that creates some sort of power spike, which may make the battery stop saving the information briefly. And there it goes. Link travels again to the land of Hyrule and says, when I have no more lives left, that's the end of me. And we see that notorious Ganon screen there, that red screen with the top of his head laughing. So lots of new information available on the status screen. What functions are mapped to what buttons on the controller. On the overhead map, got your paths and your water bodies and graveyard, bridges. Still kind of abstract with the graphics here, so they're giving you a little bit of a legend into what you might be seeing. Look below for the main landscapes. Adventures of Link searching for the third Triforce. How you're going to run into those enemies. At least you got to see them on the map. Fight screen. Got some side-scrolling action there, changing it up a bit. Had a very similar illustration in the instruction booklet for the first game. When the game is over, the points become 0, the same when saved. Yeah, you lose those stats. Got your attack, magic, and life. And then the areas of the game here. Got plains and cave, then some of the baddies that you would come across in those areas. The desert. Again, Nintendo's going with screenshots and the original illustrations, which is kind of nice. Forest. Swamp and graveyard. And then that's what you would see when Link was defeated, and then that notorious Ganon screen, the game over screen, would show. Let's see if they have it here. I'm not seeing it yet. Fend off attacks by knowing your enemy. Yeah, certain enemies needed to be defeated a certain way. That was an advanced mechanic at the time. Using magic. Arriving at towns and interacting with the NPCs that would look like this. With the famous I am error. There should also be some people who will invite Link inside. Can be healed. More information about using magic. Entering the palaces, which are like the dungeons here, and kind of a flow chart. The palace is a complex labyrinth. Some of the baddies you'll see. Both screenshots and illustrations. Some screenshots here of the interior of the palace. And then the Great Palace. If you try to enter the Great Palace without first clearing the 6 palaces, you'll be obstructed by the blinding force, and you'll waste time. You've got to get there at the appropriate time. Game data and manual for your adventures. That's kind of a weird title here for what I'm interpreting as just a map. So maybe that's a translation from the Japanese. This just looks like a map to me. This is the magic that Link will learn. Lots of different magic and items. Items open the road to the Triforce. Continuation of items list here with both illustrations and screenshots of what they would look like in-game. Remember the controller operations during the game. So kind of a quick reference page here. Sometimes in Super Famicom games they would give you a quick reference card, but it's referenced here on pretty close to the last page because we're left here with FCC regulations, that blank memo page, and then information about your limited warranty. So there you have Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. I hope you enjoyed this video, and will stay tuned to World of Nintendo for lots more unboxing videos just like this one, as well as other content. So until the next one, take care.